Right, so I feel like it's been a while since we covered some neighbour drama on this channel, and we have a new one to talk about today that seems to have millions of people invested in it. And there's two main people you need to know in this situation, which obviously just so happen to be neighbours. So this is the first person here called Mama Gord 900. She has just over 300,000 followers, and I would love to give you a summary of the type of content that she does, but she uploads so much that it's actually impossible. Like for example, if we look at her page right now, this video all the way over here is the last video in this situation, the most recent video that we're going to be talking about today. This was a day ago. And also, if we just scroll down here, quite a few rows down, we actually have the first video on this situation, which was a week ago. So she generally uploads like 10 videos a day, so it's kind of hard to give a summary, but yeah, I think she just does kind of like your normal TikTok videos, whatever that is, I guess. Now, the other person in this situation, the neighbour, is Franny Joss, or Brit. She has said herself in these response videos that she's not even like a TikToker really. She just uploads videos about like her weight loss journey and to promote her business that she has. But I guess recently she has uploaded a lot more videos because of the situation. But either way, let's actually get into what's happened here. Now, I do just need to warn you quickly. It's kind of confusing. Like, to be honest, I had to rewatch all of this to really understand what on earth was happening here, but I'll do my best to explain. So the first video that started this was uploaded by Mama Gorda, and she is talking about a situation with her neighbour, who happens to be Brittany.
Story time on how my kids aren't allowed to play with the next door neighbor kids. Please, you guys, listen to this fucked up story. So last summer, I had these two kids over my house every fucking day, from sun up till sundown, literally. Did their parents ever check on them? Fuck to the fuck no. Not once.
Okay, so straight away, she is almost like insinuating that the parents of these children, which now we know is Brittany, are basically kind of like neglecting their parents, like don't really care for them, never checking up on them. I mean, it's a very serious thing to say straight away, isn't it?
When my kids ate lunch, the kids ate lunch because I didn't want to leave anybody out. They played in my pool, they played in my sprinkler, I gave them towels. They're playing with my kids' toys, they're playing on our jungle gym, like they're having a good ass fucking time. As long as my kids are happy, I guess, you know? One day, their dad ordered like 5 boxes of pizza. And I was like, oh, he probably ordered it for you guys too. Me thinking because I take care of your kids literally every day and I'm a free fucking babysitter. But he called his sons over to eat. They come out and I'm like, oh, your dad didn't buy for everybody? No, we just got done eating 7 pieces each. And I was like, oh, that's pretty rude.
Okay, so we're obviously going to cover Brittany's response later, but you get the vibe of the video here. She's basically saying, I mean, she literally did say, she is like a free babysitter at this point. She's always looking after their kids. The parents don't seem to check up on them. The parents don't return a favour and look after her kids and vice versa. Like, the way she's telling the story makes it seem as if these people are bad parents. Now, as always in situations like this, there are parts that become like important information later on that I missed out at the beginning with like the responses back and forth, so you'll be able to make a bit of a conclusion, I guess, on who you think's in the right here. But I'll be honest, it is just kind of a case of like, who do you believe? Because there's not much proof throughout any of this.
I got fed up, so I texted their mother and I said, you know what, do you understand that your kids are over here every single day? Nobody bothers to check on them. I'm feeding them, they're in my water, they're in my sprinkler, I give them towels, I give them snacks. And I don't think this is fair, I said, because my kids are never allowed to play on your lawn, but your kids are allowed to play on my lawn all the time. Make that make sense. Tell me why those kids were never allowed to play with my kids after that. They would yell to my kids from across the street, we're not allowed to play with you, my mom and dad said. Yippee skippy, good for me.
Okay, so this is kind of a clear example where there's bits missing in the story. So she says that all of a sudden, the parents stop their kids from speaking to her kids. Now, when we get to Brittany's response, she explains why. Which, long story short, she says that the reason is that Mama Gorda's child hit her child with, like, a bat. She just says a bat. Mama Gorda then responds and says, like, it's just like a foam bat. But either way, like, hits her with something. Like, again, that is a very important piece in the story, right? To add context to the situation. And I think a lot of parents would have a similar reaction to that if their child got hit by something, by another child. They probably wouldn't want them to hang out for a bit, right? You don't want your child to get hurt.
So tell me why a couple weeks ago, the boys yelled to my kids, my dad said we could play with you guys. My kids being 9 and 6, yay! And I'm just like, whatever. So I let them play. They played for like 3 weeks, you know, on and off. And then the one boy yelled to my youngest daughter, my dad said we're not allowed to play with you guys anymore. And he's sticking his tongue out and he's going, nana, boo, boo. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. And I told my daughter, don't worry about it. You don't need friends like that. But they're sad, but they'll get over it. But I was thinking, like, what did his Did their parents want to like find information out? Like,
sorry, that is just like a crazy conclusion to come to, right? Like the parents want to find information out, like they sent the kid in to be a fucking spy or something. Now, realistically, it does seem like this video shouldn't have really been uploaded to TikTok at all. Like, I don't see why this needed to be dealt with on TikTok in front of millions, quite literally millions of people. This video has got 5 million views. But I guess when you do look at Mama Gorda's content, she has done a lot of videos like this calling out her neighbours, so I guess it fits the theme. Now, just to give you an example of the type of videos that Mama Gorda has done in the past talking about her neighbours. This video was actually uploaded just 5 days ago as I'm recording this, and as we can see on the screen it says, "My neighbour is bagging on my door being a Karen," and look, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I believe she is talking to nobody in this video.
my neighbor is at my door and she wants to know why I get so many packages. Is this for real right now? Is this fucking for real? Why do you care how many packages I get sent to my house? You need to leave. You need to leave. Oh, now you don't want to speak. She doesn't want to speak now, you guys, because I have my phone in my hand. You could take, oh, go ahead, take your phone out. Why do you watch everything I do? Why do you record my kids and me in my backyard? How about that? Leave my house now. I'm not speaking to you anymore. You could leave.
I mean, it does seem a bit like GCSE drama, doesn't it? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, right? There is a chance that I'm wrong and she is talking to somebody. I just don't see it personally. And this obviously isn't the only video that she made about neighbours, because we just watched another one, but there are multiple talking about like different neighbours. She's almost got like a reality show of like the neighbourhood on her TikTok page. So it's just something to bear in mind. Now, it's at this point in the situation that Brittany actually responded. This is the neighbour that Mama Gorda was talking about throughout that video.
Please, you guys, listen to this fucked up story. So last summer, I had these 2 kids over my house every fucking day, from sunup till sundown, literally. Did their parents ever check on them? Fuck to the fuck no. Not once. I thought that was super fucking weird.
So yes, my kids were over there a lot, but so was I, because we used to be friends. But continue.
Okay, so that is also some pretty important information, that the 2 parents here we're talking about were friends for many years, it actually seems. I think Mama God even says it was like 5 years ago they became friends, so it seems like for quite a while. And of course the reason why that would be important is because, as she just said right there, she was like also going to a house, like they were friends, there was a reason why they were going there. It wasn't like she was just trying to like piggyback off the kid's parent or anything. But I mean, like I said, this is all a bit of like hearsay. Who knows what's true in this situation? I obviously don't, not involved, so I don't know what's going on here. We can just form opinions from what we're being told.
They played in my pool, they played in my sprinkler, I gave them towels. They're playing with my kids' toys. They're playing on our jungle gym. Like, they're having a good-ass fucking time.
Let's just preface that her pool is in her backyard, which I cannot see from my front porch. And even though we were friends and I was over there all the time, I also had a small child that couldn't be in the heat for too long. So I was inside with her most time, and she said it was fine that my kids could play in her pool. And that she would keep an eye on them. It would have been the same thing if her kids were over in our yard, in our pool. I would have kept an eye on them because they're in my yard.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this just seems like stuff that really doesn't have to be on TikTok, doesn't it? And not only is it now on TikTok, millions of people are paying attention to it. Like, I saw like Trisha Paytas was comment on this, like saying like she's so invested in stuff. Like, everyone seems to have seen this at this point, and it just feels like we shouldn't really be watching.
One day, their dad ordered like 5 boxes of pizza. And I was like, oh, he probably ordered it for you guys too. Me thinking, because I take care of your kids literally every day and I'm a free fucking babysitter. But he called his sons over to eat.
Look, I get how this whole pizza situation might piss you off at the time if you're like looking after the children and the family orders pizza and you don't get any. But I feel like this maybe, again, is something that really shouldn't be dealt with on a TikTok video. Like, at the end of the day, it's not exactly the biggest thing in the world, right? And in fact, actually, the dad who apparently ordered this pizza, Brittany saying she ordered it instead, but the dad made like a follow-up video kind of just like making fun of it and being like, we'll send you pizza if you really wanted that badly. And actually, I've just looked at the comment section and I think this comment sums up exactly what we're watching right now. And it says, at this point, I need to see receipts. Well, it actually says recipes. We don't need to see recipes, I don't think. Because y'all don't agree on anything. That is basically what this back and forth is, right? One person says something happened. The other person responds and said, no, it didn't. That's what we're dealing with here.
Just got done eating 7 pieces each.
Now you know my kids cannot eat no 7 pieces each.
Kids can
And I was
eat
like,
too,
oh,
but okay.
that's pretty rude. And I walked back in the house.
So actually, I was the one who ordered the 7 boxes of pizza. My husband wasn't even home. He was at work. And a matter of fact, We sat outside and ate with your children, Indio.
See what I mean? Like, again, tells the side of the story where it's like, you ordered pizzas, didn't give us any. Then the other person responds, said, actually, we ordered the pizzas and give you some. So it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to believe at this point? Also, does it really matter?
Tell me why those kids were never allowed to play with my kids after that. They would yell to my kids from across the street, "We're not allowed to play with you," my mom and dad
Sure
said.
did.
Yippee skip.
Sure did, because after your daughter decided to hit my child with a bat, I laid down boundaries. And we had that conversation. And I wish I could go unblock you on Snapchat and bring those fucking receipts, but I can't figure it out. Yes, I did tell my children that they were no longer to play with you. Or play with your children.
Okay, I mean, I feel like if that is a true story, that seems like a pretty reasonable response, right? If your child's being hit with something, you might not want your child to play with that person anymore. Now, again, it almost seems like there's some important stuff missing, because she says a bat. That insinuates to me it'd be like a much harder object than like a foam bat, which apparently was. But obviously, if your child gets hit by anything from like another child, regardless if it's a foam bat, it's still definitely enough for you to like take action there and be like, right, maybe you shouldn't play with that person.
But it was sad for my kids, you know, because they were their friends. So tell me why a couple weeks ago, the boys yelled to my kids, "My dad said we could play with you guys."
Yep.
My kids being 9 and 6, yay! And I'm just like, whatever.
My kids are 7
so
and
I let them
10,
play.
so. Yes, my husband was the one who said it was okay if they could start hanging out again. He was trying to give your children another chance and see if they could play cordial with each other. But continue.
Played for like 3 weeks, you know, on and off. And then the one boy yelled to my youngest daughter, "My dad said we're not allowed to play with you guys
because
anymore." He's sticking his tongue out and he's going, "Nana, boo boo."
First, my son would never do that. He has more respect. But yeah, we did tell him not to play with your kids. Not that he wasn't allowed to. What we said is if they're gonna be mean, not to play with them, because your children said that he was a loser, along with some other really mean names, and said that they didn't want to play with him. They only want to play with his big brother. Well, his big brother was with grandma for a couple weeks, and basically told my child that if they're not going to be nice, then don't play with them. We never said he could not play with them. We didn't tell him that he couldn't hang out with your kids.
Okay, right, so the kids fell out. This is why this situation's so confusing to me, because we're talking about like kids arguing, and then we're dealing with this with a pretty childish argument on TikTok. And look, saying that, I can see why Britney would respond, especially if she's seen a video online with like 5 million views of someone basically saying that she's a bad mother. You're probably going to want to respond to that, but I don't get why the video was even uploaded in the first place when, yet again, we're talking about children arguing with each other, and the parent stuff could have easily been dealt with in person, or they could have went their separate ways. Now, on top of the video we just watched, Britney uploaded a couple more videos talking about this situation. This one actually involved her husband, the father of the children, where he talks about Mama Gord and other stuff she's done and said about her neighbours.
And so the reason why the children stopped playing with her children was simply because my kids kept coming inside telling me that so-and-so said this, so-and-so did that. And I got tired of seeing my kids cry. And so I told them, then just don't go over there anymore. Stop playing with them. It was as simple as that. You know, and another thing, if you watch her videos, you're going to see that she basically bashes all of the neighbors, apparently. She films the neighbor who she says is a stalker. He's an old man. He's like in his 80s. He's our neighborhood watch. He's the kindest guy I know. We've lived here now for like 7 years. I've never once had an issue with him or his wife. The people who she apparently says deflate her pool don't even know her name. They've never even had an interaction with her, they said.
Okay, so I hadn't even heard about the one about the deflating the pool, but yeah, like I said, it does seem like she's almost like got this like reality show of the neighborhood on a TikTok page. And apparently there's this neighbor who deflated a pool and she's accused this woman of doing it. Apparently the woman who's been accused doesn't even know who Mama Gorda is. So, I mean, again, you can't really say 100% what's true here, because it's just a case of who do you believe. Like, we're not there, so we can't see. But, yeah, it seems like, according to Mama Gorda's content, she lives in a really wild neighborhood, to say the least.
This goofy stuff is not real. I don't understand why people are so into her drama and want to believe it. Just like I asked the lady, did you go up to her door and knock on it and talk about packages? She had no idea what I was talking about. The guy next to me, who she filmed his truck, he had no idea about it. She made a video complaining about his truck taking up her driveway or whatever. She's lived here now maybe 4 years. She's never had a vehicle there. Nothing against that. But she has no reason to complain.
Okay, so yeah, you get the point, right? His stance on all of this is that she has just lied about the whole neighborhood throughout her videos. Now we do go on to get some Snapchat messages. These messages, a lot of people were saying were like fake at first because they don't look like Snapchat messages. She does show this video right here. I'll skim through it as I'm talking. But basically, she downloaded the messages. She shows like the process of downloading them, and that's why they look like this. But here we have some messages, and I believe it's only messages that she has sent to Mama Gord. I don't think you can get the messages that are sent to you because it's Snapchat and it like expires or whatever. But she does say here, I'm not justifying that it was okay for Michael to push her down, but it always wasn't justifiable that my child was hit with a bat. Pushing someone down versus being hit with a bat is two different things. So yeah, it seems like the kids got into like a pushing match or something. They were arguing, one's pushed the other, one got hit by a bat. Yeah, I mean, apparently, like I said, according to the next video we see, it was like a foam bat. Could have obviously been a lot worse, but still, no one should be getting hit with any fucking object. When I said I was drawing the line, is that Michael got hit with a bat 3 times. It's not just the girls. I know my boys aren't angels. Cannot do anything when I'm working. We've already talked to the boys about taking a break from hanging out with the girls. If they all can't get along, they can stay inside. Look, the thing is, if the kids obviously aren't getting along and it's starting like fights all the time, then yeah, obviously parents are going to be like, oh, maybe you shouldn't hang out with that person anymore. That seems like a very reasonable response to me. I don't know about making them stay inside, as it says right here, but like making sure that they don't get into these arguments anymore. I get it. And now this is the point where we get to the last video, and it's by Mama Gorda, where she responded to Jolly Good Ginger, who was a TikTok who spoke about this situation. I guess it's because she didn't want to respond to Brittany herself. She goes on to kind of explain it here why. But yeah, she responds to someone who spoke about the situation, but it's basically a response to Brittany.
Story time on how my kids aren't allowed to play with the next door neighbor kids. So I was not about to respond to any of her videos that she did at all, because most of them are irrelevant and make no sense.
This whole situation doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if I'm just stupid, but I'm very confused.
To respond, I'm going to respond to him. Now, my neighbor is talking about us eating together. That was 4 or 5 years ago. I'm talking about last summer and a couple weeks ago. Irrelevant.
Oh, okay, so apparently Pizzagate, as we're talking about here, has been mixed up. We were talking about the previous Pizzagate that happened 5 years ago. That's what Brittany mentioned. But apparently there was a sequel that happened last summer that Mama Gorda is very angry about. Again, very confused.
The first video I made, I'm sticking to it. You were not around. My neighbor was never around. And the father was literally never around. Anyways, let's get to the bad situation. She said that my daughter hit her son with a baseball bat. Don't make it sound so dramatic. It was a children's foam baseball bat. And that is because your son hit my daughter first. Was my daughter right? Absolutely not. And when we were texting, I told you she will be dealt with and spoken to about that situation.
Okay, look, I'm not going to sit here and speculate on a fucking kids fight and who was in the wrong in the fight and all this stuff, right? But based just on the parent stuff here, I don't see how this ended up on TikTok. Again, if two kids who are very, very young from what I can tell, right? I believe they were, like, what, 10, I think she said? Around 10 years old? Like, it is really just a situation where the parents have to make a decision if they want them to still hang around. And I feel like that's not the biggest deal in the world. So that's why I'm very confused why this is all being made so public.
So they got to play for a couple weeks on and off. But then they couldn't play anymore because my kids weren't acting right. What kid acts right? Come on. But it's weird. It's weird. You don't do that to kids. You don't say, oh, I'm going to have my kids play with your kids. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that. No, you know what? Yeah, I am going to do that. They don't understand. They are children. Let's get it together.
Okay, so the way she's saying this is she's basically saying that the parents like messing about with like the kids' like minds, like making them think that they go and play with these other kids, then saying you can't and you can't and you can't and you can. And then obviously you got the response from Brittany that says, no, actually the first time we said that they can't is because he got hit with a bat. The second time was because he was getting called names left, right, and center.
Like I said, I am responding to him, not nobody else. And I hope you guys all have a good night. Bye, love you.
Okay, so that is the most recent video on this situation. I feel like this is probably a time where we should go into the comments and see what people's opinions are. Okay, so from what I can see, on Mama Gorda's comment section, people are on her side. We got comments like this saying, as a kid who's always at someone else's house, I believe you, lol, my mum doesn't remember. I believe you and most believe you. It's too bad it's gotten to this. Hope you both figure it out since you are stuck as neighbours now. But then when you go over to Brittany's page, it's the complete opposite. Who would have guessed? I saw hers first, but you got more details and the receipts. Publicly beefing about something a year later is wild. Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't understand why this is going on right now either. Don't give her any of your energy, that's what she wants. Gotta respect the receipts. Look, yeah, so I guess it depends who you're watching. I feel like the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Because as we mentioned earlier, they literally can't agree on anything. So yeah, it feels like this back and forth going on TikTok in front of millions of people is very unnecessary. Like I said before, the truth's probably somewhere in the middle. Who bloody knows what happened? But genuinely, I couldn't scroll down my For You page without seeing this today, so I thought we'd talk about it. Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video, if you could make sense of it at least. And yeah, if you did enjoy it, leave a like and subscribe if you are new. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.